Good afternoon and welcome to yet another edition of Cook With Me in My Kitchen. We are in Queens in New York and you are in my kitchen. I'm Chef Noor and today we continue our series of easy to make things from our pantry essentials, and we are going to feature ta-da! The most humble ingredient on the planet, the most basic ingredient on the planet, potato. So yes, welcome to my kitchen. Let's get started. Today we're making cutlets that are made out of potatoes, and we are going to kick it up a notch and make it a little bit healthy by adding some vegetables. Yes, fresh or frozen, whatever you have are both fine. So let's get right to the recipe. I'm going to tell you what all ingredients we are going to be using. So we here, hi Nana, good morning. We have 4 potatoes that I have actually steamed. I haven't boiled them, but I've steamed them. And these are Idaho potatoes. They do really well in cutlets and croquettes and recipes of that sort. We're also going to need some oil for pan frying. You can see my pan is on hot. We will need some vegetables, which could be fresh or frozen, your choice. I have a little tiny red pepper, the little tiny ones that you get. This is a red pepper. This is some diced carrot. These are French beans, green onions, 1 clove of garlic, and cilantro, which is my herb of choice. But if you like any other herb, if you want to take it the Italian way and you want to put Italian seasoning, go for it. If you want to make it Mexican and you want to put taco seasoning, go for it. Whatever rocks your boat, just do that. I also took something that's frozen just to tell you what to do if we have a frozen item that we are trying to put into our croquettes. So the trick to making nice crispy cutlets, I'm going to tell you all the blah, trips, no, tricks, tips, and hacks, blah, yeah, that was a mouthful. All the tricks to make the most crunchy, tasty cutlet or croquette that you're making with potatoes, right? No egg, completely vegan. So here's something that's frozen that I used, all right? And now what I did was, if you're using a batch of frozen vegetables, like the frozen mixed vegetables, you can totally rock this recipe with that as well. If you decide to do that, just take your frozen stuff and microwave it, right, for 20-30 seconds. And then you'll see that there's a lot of, look, you see how much moisture comes out of that thing? So the enemy of a good crispy croquette is moisture. You really want to keep the moisture away from the potatoes. The minute the moisture goes into the potatoes, that means it's going to be soggy, it's going to start falling apart, okay? So this is completely dry, like the more you can squeeze it. So if you have a lot more vegetables, then basically just take a tea towel, put all your thawed vegetables into the tea towel and squeeze it so all the excess moisture will come out. Okay, and that's another reason why I steamed my potatoes and didn't boil them, because then the moisture is not, the skin has not broken open and the moisture has not penetrated the potatoes. If you really are one of those people who like to plan ahead, if you boil these or steam these potatoes a day before and then stick them in the fridge, I kid you not, it makes the best texture of your croquettes. So a couple of tricks: either steam your potatoes, or if you're boiling them, then boil them a day ahead and stick them in the fridge overnight. They make the best cutlets. And I'm going to teach you another trick of how to handle them once they're peeled that actually ensures that you get a very, very crisp cutlet. Okay? All right, so I just peeled this one. You saw how easy it was. Even though I've boiled 4, I'm going to only use 1 for today's demonstration. So in goes our steamed potato. The one thing that you have to remember is, you know how you would usually take a potato masher or then just mash it with your hands? If you want a crisp cutlet or a croquette, one thing that you need to make friends with is this. You know what this is, right? The handy dandy grater. For any kind of cutlet, for any kind of croquette, if you really want to make it crisp, try to grate your potatoes instead of mashing them. That will give you the best. The starch in the potato will literally work to your advantage if you did that. Okay, it's going to be creamy first of all, It won't have any lumps, but it will also hold up incredibly well if you did this. Hi Michelle, welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. Nishiji, welcome. Welcome to all of you that are joining me. If you feel like my recipes add some value to your life, you can share this page with your friends and family or start a watch party on your Facebook feed. I do appreciate that. Okay, so keep doing what you're doing, just grate it. If you're making samosas, never grate your potatoes, always break them. So that would be another video. But any kind of croquettes, any kind of cutlets that you're trying to make, this is a great appetizer, by the way. And if you want to do them for lunch or dinner, you can actually make them into sliders. You don't really have to have meat and chicken and eggs every day. Try to do something different. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to put this away. To this, I will add all the other wonderful ingredients. So a ton of cilantro. If you like mint, you can actually put mint as well. 1 clove of garlic. Green onions. The boiled frozen corn. Red peppers. Diced carrots. And French beans. This is not written in stone. Whatever vegetables you have, just put that. If you only have an onion in your pantry and you have some ginger, honey, just put that. If you have frozen spinach, you can totally do the same thing, except just remember to extract all the moisture. Now make sure the potatoes are not hot, okay? Because a hot potato, it might be a game, but it's not going to be funny when it starts to fall apart. Okay, to this we are going to add our basic. Nothing elaborate, nothing complicated, just some basic. I'm using Himalayan pink salt. And I'm using some coriander powder. If you don't have it, you can totally skip it. I will also use crushed red pepper because a little bit of a kick feels really good. If you do green chilies or jalapenos, you can add that at this point. I don't like heat in my food, so I'm not using any of that stuff. Now, whenever you make any potato dish, especially has a little bit of a flat taste, and in order to get rid of that flatness, what you're going to do is you will add, I'm adding lemon juice from a bottle, but you can add lime or lemon juice, whatever you have sitting in the fridge, just a few drops, and it literally just brightens up any kind of potato appetizer, or just takes away the blandness from it and gives it a nice brightness. Okay, now a couple of other tricks that we use in order to make them crunchy. Now you're going to say, well, this looks like dough. How is it going to, stick together? Is it not going to fall apart? So what we're going for in the texture of this dough is it should be completely dry. Right now, this is not dry. You see how it's sticking to my hands? So that means this is not dry. Now, a couple of things that you can do. You can use breadcrumbs, which is a very popular remedy. You can use breadcrumbs, but I feel like it soaks up too much oil when you put breadcrumbs. And also, if you're gluten-free, then you have to be careful. You can't use breadcrumbs. Another very popular fix is cornstarch. So if you have cornstarch, totally use this. It actually helps to bind the potato mixture, and it also helps to not have it fall apart when it hits the hot oil. What I like to use is a very simple Indian hack, and it's called flattened rice. I'm going to show you what the packet looks like. It's called poha. If you go to the Indian store and buy it from there, let me show you what it looks like. It actually looks like, fish food. I mean, it's totally vegan, but it looks like flattened grains of rice. It's literally just as light as air. You can see how thin this is. You see how thin it is. So this is what it is. And then when you put it in water, it kind of gets reconstituted and starts to look like this. You see how puffy this is? Big difference in the texture. Here. It almost starts to look like rice. It's very, very puffy. So if you use a little bit of this in your potato mixture, it actually helps to enhance the texture of it. But remember, you have to squeeze out all the liquid from it. We don't want the liquid, but the fact that this has rice, if you have day-old rice in your fridge, day-old, definitely use that. I'm using reconstituted rice flakes. You can use cornstarch, you can use panko, you can use stale bread, whatever you have, make the most of it. If you have rice flour, you can use rice flour. Let me actually turn the camera down so you can now see what the dough is starting to look like. If you like black pepper, you can add black pepper at this point. I'm also going to add some oil to my pan and crank up the heat a little bit. You can actually bake these and keep them totally oil free. You don't have to use oil at all. My mom also likes to add some carom seeds to this, but I didn't want to do that today. So you can see this mixture is getting more and more and more dry, okay? Which is what we want exactly. It still has some moisture, but it's not sticking to my hands as much. But my hands are kind of wet. I hope you can see from the glistening of it. So my hands are wet, which means that this does still have some moisture. I will check for seasoning, and then I'll add a little bit of cornstarch. Yep, it's salty enough. It's got everything that it needs. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some cornstarch. So just remember, cornstarch doesn't take away too much salt. So you don't have to adjust the seasoning, but if you still feel like it's not salty enough or you want to add a little more pepper or a little more jalapenos, go ahead and do that. Hi Tori, welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. So I'm literally just kneading everything together till it becomes super dry. And I'll tell you another trick. When you're doing something like this, you can actually form cutlets and put the cutlets in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes before you put them in the hot oil. And that also makes sure that you get nice crisp cutlets and they don't fall apart. Okay, so this is a little bit sticky, but the cornstarch has definitely helped to soak up all the moisture. Okay, now I'm going to take a little oil in my palm and I'll start forming the cutlets. If you feel like it's hard to handle, you can always take some cornstarch and go back with it a little bit. So just take it and kind of stretch your hand like that and then just work it between your palms. And then you'll see that on the side it has like curved edges. So in order to clean those up, you just press it so that it has like a wall sort of a texture. And you can do any shape. You can do long, you can do rectangles, you can do circles. Also, if you're going to serve it as a slider, then make sure, so let's say if I were to serve it as a slider on this Bombay Pao, which is like the Indian bread served with sloppy joes, then make sure that the size of this thing actually fits your bread. Okay, so if you're using a bigger burger bun or something, just make sure that your croquette or your cutlet is pretty much the size of your bread, right? And then just roll it out, give it a good shape like that, just like a wheel. And so what it does is it helps to give it a little bit of a wall on the sides. All right. So I don't want to put it in the fridge and then come back after 15 minutes. So I'm going to hit them right into the pan. And then I'm also going to show you a variation. This is for people who are not vegan and you do cheese. I'm going to show you how to do one with stuffing. So I'm going to use a filling of cheddar cheese inside one of these croquettes. If only I could open this thing with one hand. It'd be nice, right? Ah. Okay, so. All right. So you saw that even with one potato, we can get about 4 or 5 cutlets that are that tiny. So if you're trying to serve it with a tea time snack and you know how many people you're going to be entertaining, well, nowadays, nobody, but just in general, if you know that you're going to be 4 people or 5 people, you can make 1 or 2 per person accordingly. I just gave it a little bit of oil and formed it into a nice shape. So the more pliable it is, the easier it becomes to put a filling inside, okay? I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. And remember, all the ingredients are already cooked. The potato is fully cooked. So you're just basically going for a little bit of color and that should be it. You're not trying to overcook it. Just press it slightly so that it'll get some nice color. You can use coconut oil, you can use ghee. You can just pan fry it without any oil. That's fine too. Just A nice non-stick pan would be good. Turn down the heat a little more. Okay, so this one I'm gonna do with the filling, okay? So basically what you're gonna do is you're going to play with this dough till the point that it becomes absolutely silky smooth. Once that happens, you will make a hole with your finger right in there, and you can use a little water to do that. Just make a little bit of a hole. I'm gonna flip this. You see how nice and colorful it is? This color is actually coming from the flattened rice that I used. If you use panko, you're gonna get the same color. So do not worry, you're gonna be fine. Okay, going back to our croquette with the stuffing. So to this, I'm going to add some cheddar cheese. You can use a cube of mozzarella. If your family likes dried fruits, you can use like raisins or cashews in the middle. And then you're going to basically just close it back up. Okay, so wet your hand a little bit. So the water really helps you to play around with this dough really nicely. If you have a cube of mozzarella cheese, you can put that. If you make it bigger and you put a nice rectangle of cheese and lots of corn in the center, then you can get like ooey gooey cheesy cutlets. That's really cool too. Okay, I'm gonna keep using water and then shape this. And if you feel like it's too sticky, you can always go back and pick up some potato and slap it on top, so it really hides the cheese. Okay, so we don't want the cheese to be exposed to the oil, because you want it to melt inside from the temperature, not from hitting the hot oil. Okay, so it's completely smooth on the outside, like you can see. Now I'm going to put this into the oil. Again, I'm going to give it a little bit of a shape. There you go. Let's take a good look at what is going on with the first one. See how quick it is? It's already done. It's done on both sides. You see that? It's extremely quick. If you like to use red onions, you can use them. I've used green onions. Sometimes I use shallots because I find the red onions a little too intense. But when you're stacking up your slider, you can by all means use red onions. Then it tastes really good. I'm going to quickly wash my hands and be right back. Y'all keep an eye on this, okay? Don't let it burn. I'll be right back. Okay, so my kitchen is smelling very potatoey. If you were very good all week long and you ate healthy and you're not trying to gain weight while you're sitting at home and constantly eating and making snacks for the family, then you can actually pick 1 or 2 days in the week when you can indulge, right? And kids are happy when they get snacks, which are not always meat based. I did cater a party once where I put tuna inside instead of the cheese, and they absolutely loved it. They were pescatarian. So you can always think of variations. So learn it the right way once and then try to do your own variations and see how best you can do it to please the family that you are serving. Or just for yourself. If you like something a certain way, go for it. If you want to put halloumi cheese inside, if you want to put, I don't know, chickpeas inside, just make a little cup of it, put it in, and then fold it back and cover it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I'm serving this with. Like I mentioned before, we are going to use our Indian pao, which is a very soft bread that's served with sloppy joes. And if you remember, we also made the chutney yesterday. Remember the blackberry banana chutney that we made yesterday? So we are going to serve it with that. I'm going to make the slider for my daughter, and I'll put ketchup and I'll put the cutlet. But because I don't do gluten, I'm not going to eat this bread. I will definitely do a taste test with the chutney, but without. Oh my God, this is so good. You see how perfect it is? Perfect. Yeah, so if you want good brownie points from your family, You need to make these kind of things. And this is so versatile. You can literally just take it in any direction you want. And it can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, I'm going to have to use two things to flip this thing. Just give it some time. All right. So now for the moment of truth, which is the chutney pairing. This was 100% vegan and tasty chutney, but it does have sugar. Okay. Now, moment of truth. Do you see? Do you hear how crisp this is? So it's absolutely crisp on the outside, and it's going to be nice and creamy on the inside. Let me just do a quick taste test. I know this is the part that you love but you hate because you can't eat it. I'm so sorry that you're not with me here today. I would have loved to share this with you. Okay, so I'm just going to cut right into it. I hope it's not too hot to burn my tongue or something. That's my biggest fear. So I'm going to dip it into the chutney that we made yesterday. It's extremely crunchy. And the inside is creamy, but then it has the fresh vegetables that we put that was very small dices. And that adds the crunch and the burst of flavor. The garlic is very subtle. You can barely even taste the cilantro. So if you like amped up flavors, then I would recommend, go for it and make it your own. But I really like my snacks to be a little bit on the bland side, so I can just put whatever dipping sauces or chutneys I have. Okay, so now the one with cheese is almost, it's coming along really well. If you'd like to stick around, it'll take a couple of minutes and then I can open it and show you how ooey gooey the cheese is. Meanwhile, I can go and finish this. Yay! I wish you guys were here. Really, once all this craziness is past, just come to my house and eat this with me. I'll be happy to make it again for you. So this is a great recipe. You can do the oil-free version. You can bake them. Also, it's a great make-ahead recipe. And if you just shape the patties and put them in the fridge, trust me, the next day they're going to be even more crisp than what you're seeing here. If you shape the patties and put them in your fridge, you'll see that when you actually have guests over and you're actually pan frying them or baking them, they're going to be more crisp than what you see here today. Okay, so that is that. I will certainly put pictures of everything that we're making in this Facebook Live. I may not do a live tomorrow, but I will put a pre-recorded recipe that you'll be able to see, and it'll be around the same time, noon Eastern, so do watch out for that. For all the people who are going to my website and finding value in the products that I offer and placing orders, I appreciate your support. The cookbooks are also doing really well, so if this is the time that you're using in your house to cook more, to try out new things, you can do the downloadable version. That way you don't have to wait for the book to be shipped to you. The website is queenscurrykitchen.com, and there is an order online link which takes you to the online shop. Also, for those of you that are registering for classes, there's a lot of different classes that I'm offering one-on-one, so you can cook along. You can cook it in your home and I'll be cooking alongside you. So it's a lot of fun. We've had some students who actually have come back for their second or third classes. There's a breads class, there's a gluten-free cooking class, there's a vegan class, there's a vegetarian specialty class, there's a class on rice, different kinds of rice from India, different kinds of breads, anything that you want to do. Or if you just want to learn one dish that you always eat in the restaurant but just don't know how to make it, you can send me a private message and I'll be very happy to accommodate that and create a class around that. Okay, so this cutlet is almost done. Let me actually flip the camera right back down so you can see what it looks like. And nowadays even the vegan cheese is actually quite stringy and it comes, it pulls apart really well. So even if you're vegan, you can still have your favorite cheese that pulls. You see how golden the color on the outside is, right? Okay. So I'm going to lift it out very carefully. And because of the cheese, you can see it's already melting. So it's not as sturdy as The other one yeah, it disappeared really fast. Okay, all right. So this is here. I'm gonna quickly turn the stove off because it's really bugging out on me. Okay, so are you ready for this moment of truth? Oh my God, what a storm I created. Okay, so let's come into some better light right about here. So this is the one with the cheese-filled center, and I'm gonna cut it open and show you what it looks like. This is where we filled the cheese, remember? So there you go. It's like nice and gooey. There you go. Here. So when you peel off the layers, imagine doing this with like jalapeno and cheddar cheese. Oh my God, it would be such a party in your mouth, right? So it's nice and ooey gooey, and if you want to do it as a slider or you want to do it as a wrap, then you can definitely put some salsa on your wraps, and you can put this, and you can put, you know, pickled jalapenos or whatever, and just take it to Mexico or do a southwestern twist on it, okay? So those were my two variations on the potato cutlet. If you liked what you saw, thank you. You can give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more recipes, something specific that you want to learn, definitely leave me a comment so I'll be able to accommodate that in my next video. Nana, I did make a note of your tur dal request and the gobi aloo, the cauliflower with potatoes. So hopefully I will do that on Sunday, but it's definitely on the cards. I have not forgotten about it. It is on my list. As always, thank you for joining me. Stay positive in this trying time, in this challenging time. Do the best that you can, and just remember this too shall pass. Until then, until I see you again, be flavorful, be blissful, and thank you so much for joining me. Your love and support really helps me to maintain my sanity because I know I have something to do every day at noon, and that is to come and hang out with all of you lovely people. So thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being my friends from a distance. It really means a lot to me. Goodbye, God bless, and take good care. I will see you in the next one. Until then, namaste.